Just as in our previous episode of XANDRIA Exposure that we're enjoying collaboratively through a full album survey sweep of Theater of Dimensions, Ship of Doom had some adventurism in how we approached it and our familiarity of experience together with XANDRIA via an animated video debut. That's not been something we've entertained before, at least in our time together. And similar in the mold of that, not an animated video, but a bit of a differentiation on appearances. CÉILÍ, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, and I apologize if I'm not, feel free to clarify down below if you wish to. I would love to be able to operate from a credible mouth in that case. This piece is an instrumental, I would call it an intermission number. It's right in the later half of the journey we're taking with Theater of Dimensions in full. But, it feels like it's well placed. Well, actually, on duration, it certainly fits, I would say, on placement. It still embodies, I would say, a good duration of a XANDRIA piece. I'm sure it'll be quite a welcome experience for us, as every entry on Theater Dimensions together has been in our larger journey of surveying XANDRIA's history through past eras from the Manuela Kraler era on, now sitting in the midst of Diana van Giersbergen, which has been quite a glowing retreat, I've said, and part of a larger journey. It's a twofold route that we're taking here, not only for XANDRIA's credit, but for Diana as well. This is our step one introduction to her, followed closely by other developments in her time since, with Ex Libris, as well as Diana, the solo project with the 2 numbers. I'm looking forward to those immensely when we get to them, and hopefully that'll be today. I'm going to try. And beyond that as well, some collaborative work she's done with some other artists I've been meaning to get to, but I've been wanting to do this for months now for a growing favorite of mine in the European metal variety, specifically among leading female vocalists, but of the operatic capability. She truly is a gifted musician. I would not say anything less to her reach as a spinto soprano artist and her vocal command, her precision of voice, the way she controls different elements to it, pitch, emphasis. There's a real depth to her performance in the numbers we've explored together, certainly on the voice of Theater of Dimensions. It already has quite enough character as a conceptual album, which is being well told, by the way, in a unified direction throughout every number we experience together, as each piece from XANDRIA is. A welcome experience into the world of symphonic metal, in my opinion, of, again, European origin, which I speak of in glowing terms readily. And again, I refer to that in another experience, a developed one with XANDRIA that we're taking together, by the way, with any allowance in who approaches. Whether you happen to be a longtime fan or an initiate or developing listener like myself, I want this to be a welcome space for you. As we explore good music together generally, to any artist credit here, and there's many, in even a broader window than European metal, of course, and even from a metal focus, there are some departures in genre familiarity from that. Certainly in connection to what's coming up or what I have in the waiting wings and what I need to edit through, we have taken points of departure, but I like to explore good work with you, and certainly in the music space, it's best enjoyed in company, I think. And XANDRIA, to take this deep ride with you, in whatever form our songs take and experience, has been a great ride, I think. So CÉILÍ, again, forgive me if that's a mispronunciation. It might be an instrumental score, but I'm sure it'll be, like every entry off of Theater Dimensions, a wonderful experience for us. Certainly as an intermission effect piece, perhaps, in at least present appearance's sake on Suspicion. Let's see if it evolves that way on voice. I'm really curious to see which direction it goes, again, with all of you. For a first-time witness. Speaking of Ship of Doom, and a pirate sensation, very light touch of that in that number. This immediately comes up in our initiation of score here, doesn't it? Has a pace that floats that way. It's almost like within the concept construction as emphasized by the title number, and from my understanding the album, there's actually like a multitude of concepts, speaking of dimensions, in present-day synonymy, like a multiversal journey. Different themes, different images. It's really interesting. Each number, though, unique voice. But natural intersections on the way we build out and evolve. Harder segue predicted, maybe? I love some strings work. This really does feel like a pirate medley. There's so many different extremes. Common rhythm for songs attributed to that lens. Well managed, though. I don't want to sound like I'm lessening it. There's a light riff coming through too in the background. I was waiting to see if that was vocally or like a vocal simulator of an instrumental, but no, it's not. Although it departs quite quickly as this verse changes. Comes back in a lower range, greater dominance. Great bouncing rhythm to this number too. It really is like a traditionalized pirate metal score. Even more deliberate in the higher symphonic tones with the strings than maybe some other adjacent credits that immediately come to mind on Pirate Synonymy. Anything up for like. Tight construction on evolution, isn't it? I like it as a number, and as I've said before in previous experiences to the respective theater of dimensions, I've noted XANDRIA as a great fit for a cinematic intrusion if they would wish to cross over artistic mediums. If anyone would give them the opportunity, I think it would be deserved based on well, I don't think it's happened yet, at least not in prominence I've been made aware of, but if anyone were looking for a type of orchestra employment. And this is a similar credit I've given other adjacent artists as well, notably of the pirate sound. I'm thinking immediately of maybe a close association based on the German origin to Feuerschwangs with certain little bits that come through. That's what I said about Ship of Doom as well. There was that one little section that immediately, like, this feels like one of their numbers. But even more deliberately with this one. And there's some small bits, again, that have some natural intersection or crossover, but as well, I consider other recent adventures into specifically symphonic metal. I'm like, oh yeah, Visions of Atlantis, equal capability. So it might be a bit of a competition for who gets to the cinematic immersion first. If that opportunity is ever awarded, that a movie would be willing to consult quite an advantageous talent in the music sphere, notable in that respect, but one that I think would be a perfect immersion if you were to consider any of our pirate movies coming out or in development, and they were looking for a faithful and fitting support on a score to bring in. I think XANDRIA would be a great fit. I'm glad I chose to do a full album sweep, and notably, I have a tendency of this in the past, I don't know why this is, with full album sweeps. They're technically, I guess, not really, because in most cases, actually, I've neglected to recognize the instrumentals. I think it might be, in part, due to scheduling, considering phase 2 of the many artists we're going to be happening upon, and it is going to be a fun adventure for this new year, let me tell you. Maybe it's because of that in part. And I do like, of course, as everybody does, probably to investigate the original numbers, but normally, I don't oftentimes give space, and maybe I should, to the instrumental pieces. I'm glad I did with CÉILÍ. I'm really glad I picked this one in particular. Because again, if it's swing and it's natural immersion with a traditionalized voice that's familiar to me in the symphonic range. I'm thinking again, particularly of, let's say, Visions of Atlantis. Real blend. I've given that comparison as well with XANDRIA in some of our recent experiences together. Sacrificium, and maybe a couple of the other ones. Maybe on this record too, I forget exactly, but there's been some definitive ties to some of their scoring that I'm not saying again, XANDRIA is looking to transpose it in their own name without change. There's plenty of alteration, but it still embodies that same type of level of execution and extreme in a reminiscence that's quite natural, based upon, again, the theming. Now, Visions of Atlantis did such a great job with the Pirates concept, and from what I'm seeing here with XANDRIA, it's rather limited in our time together with, at least thus far, with Theater of Dimensions. This is a little more encompassing, again, of particular strands of differentiated concepts of what I'm noticing. Yes, a unified declaration, certainly on that last number, but I'm seeing other stories at play. It's really interesting, again, where we shift in terms of imagination with this record, but a wide field on it, in storytelling and on musical tone. Perfect immersion, though, on the quality of symphonic encapturing, certainly within the higher tones, which is a point of, again, there's key rhythms here and constructions on part of the score and measures that clearly mimic traditionalized pirate numbers, especially with that swing. It's deliberate. But the reliance on some of the higher tones, and that little intersection as well midway through of that harder riff instrumental break was nice. Again, a point of departure. but it has a close tie to other types of cinematic scores I've heard from a movie perspective that, again, I'm like, if you were to bring Xandria in as the orchestral voice, I wouldn't notice a difference. Equal capability. And I think based on the taste of that, there's a opportunity in the waiting wings maybe years down the line, but what I would think be warranted based on this. It'd be an effective pitch, certainly. If CÉILÍ were an audition score, oh yeah, I think it'd be like, we're taking you. If it were me anyway. I'm not the one making decisions though, but that's just my vantage point. Again, it comes off to me right now quite European in this respect, and classical, and Xandria does appeal to both modern and classical extremes within their score constructions. It comes off to me as a natural intermission to where we currently are, and in the time we're going to have remaining with investigations into Theater of Dimensions fully, and it will be a well-realized journey. These next couple pieces are, I think we've got about, let me approximate here, 30 minutes and 22 seconds left in the album. That's a lot of time. I mean, again, a lot of that's being occupied by the finale Call of A Theater of Dimensions. That's going to be quite the encounter when we get to it. Reminiscent again of past experiences like Sacrificium, for example, and how we initiated versus how we depart. But I think it's natural to have a break, and this instrumental, I believe, is quite well placed and well managed, again, to be in such a reminiscent number to other types of constructions in its clearly desired vein. I see that connection again of pirate scores, and it's so deliberate on voice. I'd love to hear your thoughts down below on CÉILÍ. Again, feel free to clarify if I'm getting the pronunciation wrong, but what are your thoughts on it? In perusing through it, Xandria instrumental. Again, a first approach for us in our journeys together. What do you think? And how do you approach this if you wish to declare it? Long-time fan or initiate perspective. What do you think? I said it's certainly a good break of a track and beautiful declaration of, again, an independent voice. It is connected in part maybe to some light reminiscence effects of Ship of Doom. But it's a good pause number, I think. A good breath. As we continue for the ride together at future steps, next up with Song for Sorrow and Woe, in our larger journey of humoring Theater of Dimensions for the first time. It is nice to have a bit of a separation number, and one of such clear personality and aptitude that in the symphonic vein, Xandria always embodies. Thank you so much for watching this video. Before you bounce, feel free to drop a like and comment, subscribe to this channel with a ding on the bell, and share this video with your friends. And consider checking out the description here. There you'll find links to my other channels, as well as addresses to my other social media accounts and ways you can help support my work if you feel so inclined. May God bless you, and looking forward to when our paths cross again.